Show on the S.O.S podcast network, brought to you by the one, the only First Round Collectibles. Right now, with our promo code SPORTS10, get 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. The ongoing sale that I've been going on about is over. However, they have a specific sale on wrestling cards from the 90s, WWF. 25% off selected cards, including a 1995 Stone Cold Steve Austin. So head over to firstroundcollectibles.com. 10% off whatever card you want. Promo code SPORTS10 and an additional 10% off the 25% off you get on selected WWF cards. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today. Promo code SPORTS10 for 10% off any cards you want and an additional 10% off their 25% sale. Also, Total Apex Sports, Total Apex Media, with football playoffs in full swing, basketball full swing, hockey, we're getting to the Olympic break. We're beyond the halfway point now. Baseball, catchers, pitchers, they're reporting in a matter of days. Lots going on in the sports world, and Total Apex Sports have you covered. Shout out to them, as always, for having us on board. All right, now on to the show. Welcome to the NHL show on the Sauter on Sports podcast network. I am Mark Sauter, and a familiar face joins us once again. Was telling you before the show, can't believe it's been 2 months since I've had you on. My guy Jim, how we doing on a busy Thursday in the NHL?
Yeah, good to be here. Good to be back. Glad to be here talking some hockey with you guys. Can't wait to dive into a lot of it. Busy day. Obviously everybody knows where I live, in the Jersey area, and the news of John Harbaugh to the Giants, huge news. That's kind of taken up a lot, but hockey in full swing. A lot of dysfunction in New York as always. So we gotta get to it, and we gotta talk about a lot of things today.
A lot of things today. I'll give you 60 seconds because I do want to know your thoughts. This is the hockey show, but give me 60 seconds on your thoughts on Harbaugh to the Giants. I'm really curious what you think.
Love the move. Needed it. Needed an adult in the room. Had too much of a lame duck coach in Dayball. No one respected his authority. Don't care if it was the owner's decision. The owner needed to do more. If the owner actually stepped up, and John Mara stepped up, and Tish and everybody stepped up during the Saquon Barkley fiasco, Barkley would have still been on the team, and you would have had a nice punch with Barkley and Scadaboo, and it would have been fine, and you would have done things the right way. I don't care he went around the general manager's back, or probably had the general manager's blessing. You need a guy like that. I'm okay with an owner's decision on that part.
Love it. Yeah.
You want a guy, you go get the guy. If you're the owner, go do it. It's your decision. And if you truly want to back up what you say a couple of seasons ago, when it's not good enough, we need to turn this around, we need to win, then you have to make the final decision.
Yeah. And I kind of, on the one hand, it kind of reeks of desperation in the sense of, 100 sheets. They are desperate. And so that's fine. And I think what you just said, if you want the guy, go get the guy. I know my co-host is a Giants fan. We had the show yesterday, obviously before the announcement, and he was all in on it. Like, let's go get that guy. So we'll see what happens. All right, lots in the NHL to talk about. Specifically, I mean, not specifically. We could literally talk about a million things. I think
Everybody. We could talk about everybody if we
we
wanted
could
to.
talk. We could talk about everything. I think this season is probably the most captivating top to bottom that we've had in a while. I think there's always storylines, there's always things to talk about, but like this season, you could talk about all 32 teams. Um, Specifically, again, with your location and the banners hanging behind you, and even with the team close to you, and the banners aren't hanging behind you. Hot topic right now, at least for me, is the Devils and the Rangers. Now, the Devils on a 2-game winning streak after a catastrophe of it was only 4 games, but it just felt like way worse of the losing streak. They've won 4 of their last 12, if my math is correct. They do beat Minnesota in a big game. Minnesota's a good team. They beat Minnesota 5-2 in Minnesota, and then beat the Kraken, who have been falling off a little bit lately, but still have been better than expected this season. Beat them in overtime last night, 3-2. Where are we at with the Devils right now, man? It just seems it seems to me, and this is from the outside looking in. I got no connections besides yourself in New Jersey. I don't know nothing. It just feels like ever since the Quinn Hughes trade didn't happen, it feels like the wheels have fallen off. And maybe, some guys were butthurt about, not waiving no trade clauses or whatever the deal was. Where are you at with this Devils team? Did you expect more? And what are we expecting moving forward?
I mean, I think everybody expected more from the Devils this year. I think a lot of people had put them in Eastern Conference Final, at least second round. They had the talent to do it, but mentally they got to get over humps. Now, let's be honest here. Like Quinn Hughes situation, I mean, yeah, if you're relying on one guy to come in here and change the world on fire and then change the culture of that room, I mean, Quinn Hughes the guy to put the adult in the room like we talk about with the Giants. From what I was told, this was never going to happen, regardless if it was a trade, regardless if they could get the cap space done. Vancouver wanted certain guys on New Jersey. Yeah, the package was there. They would have just settled for, certain players like a Dawson Mercer, Silyav, and Nemec, but that wouldn't have moved the needle like a Bouillon or a Holgren or a Marco Rossi. Like that was the yes package, the offer that they couldn't refuse. And while, everybody thought that that's what's going to happen, and a lot of the noise is, well, they just couldn't handle it because of Quinn Hughes. Well, maybe in reality, the reality should have been that realistically, maybe it wasn't going to happen. It was never in the cards and it was a pipe dream. And the players need to realize it's on themselves. When this team wants to play, it's on them and they can do it. And we've seen it. When they want to accept it, it's hard. They can play with anybody in the league. Look what happened in Minnesota. It's the So Devils. It is So Devils. It's typical Devils. They win. But the issue is yeah, Dougie Hamilton's no trade clause. Well, guess what? It's worded in a specific way where you can only go to 10 teams. Same with Andre Palat. It's a 10-team trade clause. Now, can they get it done before the Olympic break? Yeah, if they're willing to retain. But again, the cap space, if you want to add, you can't retain any dollars here. If you want to clear $15 million in cap space, you can't do it before the Olympic break or before the deadline. This is a tricky situation. Unless the Devils are willing to retain some money on this thing, which they don't want to right now, this could drag on. And I still circle that signing bonus. Like, how many teams want to pay out that $7.4 million signing bonus on July 1st? Like, he's owed one more. Like, I think if he's still on the team, he'll get traded after July 1st. Again, it's going to come down to who wants to pay that signing bonus and what the package is if they want assets in return. Because if they were just going to get rid of him to get rid of him, then this would have been done already. But if you want things in return, money in, money out type deals, and you don't want to hamper yourself moving forward, like, I'm going to be real with a lot of people here. Like, how many assets do the Devils realistically have and can move to upgrade players? Because they were in on Braden Shen last year. They were in on Ricard Raquel. They were in on Ryan O'Reilly. They were in on Braden Shen, but the prices were so high that they didn't want to do anything. Well, if your only trade chips are Siliev, Mercer, Nemec, there's not a lot in that cupboard that the teams will want. Your first round pick is a little later on. You're gonna have to give up something to get something, and you know, eventually you're gonna have to decide on this core and who's on this core. And I think Tom Fitzgerald calmed the waters a little bit. I don't know how realistically they were calm, but if you look at it and you say to yourself, okay, if they're gonna move players, Mercer's got to go, this guy's got to go. And yeah, he's willing to move future assets, but how willing is he, especially for the right deal? Well, what is the right deal is my question. And so I think there's a lot more questions than answers with the Devils, because what if they rattle off 5, 6 in a row right now? Well, now they're back in it. Now they're in the standings. Do they even want to do anything?
Yeah, and I'd be curious to move on to a next part of this conversation with the Devils. And I know Jack Hughes got hurt, and I know he hasn't really been right since coming back, at least from my eyes. Maybe he is. What is curious is he's not the only offensive talent on this team. They have guys who can score. And Sheldon Keefe, I watched it for 5 years. The way he coaches games is you win, 5-3, 4-3, 6-4. Like, you win these high scoring, fast paced games. And they're 28th in the league in goals. They are 28th in the league in goal differential, minus 22.
Well, it doesn't help when you give up an 8 spot to Colorado and then 9 to
that's
9, then to the Islanders.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. And just looking, like, since what? I mean, we could go back a while, but since the beginning of December, no goals against Dallas and Vegas, 1 goal against Boston, 1 goal against Vancouver, 2 straight 2-1 wins against Vegas and Utah, 1 goal against Buffalo, the Islanders, no goals against the Leafs. It just seems like, the last couple games, even when they lost to the Jets, that was 4-3, beating Minnesota 5-2, and even last night they got 3-2. Now, the goaltending tandem for the Kraken's been pretty good this year. What do you think's going on with the goal scoring besides, like, is it that simple that, like, Jack Hughes got hurt and hasn't been right since?
It shouldn't be.
And that's my point.
Like, it shouldn't be. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, I don't like how the team is structured. I've talked to people, like, the team's structured poorly. If you're relying on one guy to drive your offense, that's a problem. If everything's built around one guy and doing it one way, that's a problem. And Jack Hughes isn't, right? He's continuously losing pucks on stick handling. Stick handles too much. Doesn't use the speed enough. Yeah, sometimes he gets the odd assist here and there, but he turns the puck over way too much. His brother does the same thing. And the accountability factor has to happen. We know what happened with Dougie Hamilton, a scratch. Oh, it's, wasn't for trade related reasons or contract or this and that. They're forcing him to try to waive his no trade clause. And you can't do that, especially when you have a healthy player who can play and who's impactful in your lineup. Now, the issue is you have Nico Hischier, you have Jesper Bratt, you have Timo Meier, guys that could put the puck in the net, but Bratt's been inconsistent his whole career outside of last year. But how many career seasons can you have in a row? Yes, Hall of Fame players can do it. You get your upticks, you get your 100 points. McDavid's a different level, and he's not even in that category. Good players can put up consistent points all the time. But how many times can you have, if you're a real good player and you're not that upper echelon superstar, how many 90-point seasons you realistically going to have? Like, Nico Hischier's finally starting to putting the team on his back. But again, this team is structured poorly that every time he goes down, oh, well, we got to learn to play the game differently. You should learn how to play the game differently even when he's in the lineup. Like, you shouldn't rely on one guy to score goals for you or do everything. And outside of the first game back against Buffalo, he hasn't scored 1 goal. Yeah. He has some assists. And at some point, you have to look to yourself and say, okay, we need to put a team together. Like, a team, not this guy, that guy, what we think is good. Like, at some point, they really do need to make tough decisions. If tough decisions are guys that have bad contracts, like Not to say at the time they were bad contracts, but now you view bad contracts as tough decisions. Every team in the league has bad contracts. I'm talking about real tough decisions about a guy like Timo Meyer that you traded for. Like, that is a conversation that you have to have at some point. It just hasn't worked. Yes, he's better. Yes, he's playing better. Maybe he hasn't been the same player since his personal matter. I hope everything's okay with whatever he's dealing with when he took his leave of absence. But this experiment hasn't worked. So you have to look at what deep down, what is the issue here? And maybe Andre Palat, as much as they love him, as much as Fitzgerald loves him, as much as he was told by some people on his team not to sign him to that contract, because he was. I don't think the Devils had an issue signing him. I think it was the length of the contract that was the issue.
Yeah.
You have to say to yourself, okay, well, every team's trying to shed salary someplace. They have a bad contract they don't like. All right, yeah, that's great. That's not a tough decision. It's, oh yeah, I have to try to make up for mistakes I made. But the issue with the Devils, like they are with the Vancouver Canucks, got 17 guys that have no movement clauses. Like, I mean, it's pretty difficult to move to shake up your team when you have no trade, no move. Like, it's a real problem.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen that in Toronto for years, just giving everyone on the team no trade clauses.
Like, I heard Brian Burke. I heard Brian Burke today say with Jeff Marek, and I 100% agree with it. Certain guys deserve it. There should be one or two guys that get no trade, no move.
Yes,
and that's it. Like, if you want to give the player some protection, I'll give you an 8-team no trade clause, which is always the Canadian teams, which sucks for everybody up there. But that's the way it goes. But you give me an 8-team no trade, that's it. That the other 20 something teams I'm trading you to. So yeah, that's it. But like, that's the type of contract you need. Or you're seeing it now with and Carolina kind of started this with the Taylor Hall contract. Is he has trade protection, but he has to hit certain goals to get said trade protection or said bonus. So I kind of like that, moving trade protection, the sliding stuff. Like, for instance, the Tyler Toffoli contract that the Devils presented him was similar to what he got in San Jose, but as the time went on, the trade protection was less and less. That's a guy that could use right now.
Yeah. Yeah, big time. Shout out to Brady in the chat. Good to see you here, Brady. Glad you could join us. When are we talking about the NHL 2026-27 season? Asking for a friend. He's a Vancouver fan, and that's why he's.
I mean, we can talk Canucks right now. I mean, I'll talk to you about the Canucks right now, Brady. I mean, look, you heard Jim Rutherford, Patrick Alvin finally used the rebuild word in Vancouver, but again, you got to stick to it. Like, you can't, we're going to rebuild, but then
I don't
like, and then, we can get all these free agents to patch stuff together. No, I know tearing down to the studs isn't an option. Find out who your backbone pieces are, keep those guys, and build around that team. And that's who it is. But again, poor contracts handed out by management. Not just this management, but previous management in Vancouver.
Yep.
The evaluation of their goaltending is beyond poor. I don't understand why you trade a guy like Arthur Seavos, knowing the history of Thatcher Demko and his injury history.
They're giving him a contract.
But I don't mind giving him a contract. It's the fact that you can't move it for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
He's got 3 years of full no move.
Yeah.
Like, why? He's never on the ice. Like, I don't understand it. But that's besides the point. Anyway, but you have guys like Connor Garland. Like, it's every year with the Canucks. And I said it on Rob Peterson's show today. Every year with the Canucks, they're trying to change their mix. So what, your team wasn't good? So what was the offseason for? That's when you change your mix. Like, you don't change it now. You let the season play out. And if it doesn't work, you change it in the offseason. But it's the same guys that are always available every year. Well, we're going back to Elias Pettersson. But again, I go back to, okay, if you don't believe in these guys, right? And there's some people in Vancouver that tell me that the media, outside media, brings this on, and sometimes it's not. But if it's every year, contract years, for instance, let's go back. JT Miller before he was traded to the Rangers. He's available at the deadline. We just give him an extension, 8 years, knowing the history with Pettersson. Following year, Pettersson's available. He's a contract year. No, we'll just sign him for 8 years because we can win, knowing the team couldn't win.
Yeah.
Besser, same thing last year. Should have moved him. Now, the way Rutherford's talking to him in these pieces is like, oh well, he's got a fragile mind. He's a baby because his buddies got traded. Then why did you keep him? Why did you re-sign him? I know it's comfortability for players, but why did you re-sign him? Like, again, management, the decisions the Canucks make will always tell me Canucks will Canuck, no matter what. Like, They will always do it. Like, Garland, same thing. Myers, like, the same guys are always available, and they don't move them when teams give them good packages for them. Like, Brock Besser could have gone to Carolina last year. Again, before Mikko Rantanen got traded to Dallas, that was a player they were talking about. Like, you could have moved Elias Pettersson to Buffalo for Dylan Cousins and Bo Byram. Like, that changes your mix and gives you hockey trades to do things. Like, there were deals on the table for things to happen. And then you're never going to win an Elias Pettersson trade now.
No.
But you could have at least been like, all right, I got Dylan Cousins and Bo Byram on the back. Like, that's a good foundation, some good foundational pieces here.
Yeah.
The trade for JT Miller, to get Filipino, Mancini, and then you flip the first for Marcus Pettersson. That's a pick you keep, in my opinion. There's just a lot of mismanagement for a guy who potentially may not even be here at the end of the year or next year. Like, next year might be Rutherford's last year. Like, there's just so much mismanagement going on in Vancouver right now that somebody from outside needs to come in and be like they need to be audited and be like, no, like, you're doing stuff completely wrong.
And what drives me insane about all of this is that in a normal situation, I like it when the management comes out and says, this is what we're doing. We're doing a rebuild. I want them to be honest with the fans, be honest with the media, and just say, this is what we're doing. This is what it is. In this case, I don't want that guy saying anything because all he does is cause fires. He just starts fires all the time. Like, it's not his fault, the JT Miller and the Pettersson debacle, but that was expanded on because of Rutherford. This whole thing with Quinn Hughes, like, maybe it was known that, yes,
it
Quinn
was
Hughes,
known last January in the piece with Gary Mason in the Globe and Mail when he said, quote, if we have to rebuild, Quinn Hughes is gone. He knew then that Quinn Hughes wasn't signing an extension.
So when people say that the media causes outside noise, I don't. This is not the media causing noise.
I will send
this is
you
their
the link.
fault.
I will send you my article, and you could post it to your viewers, and you could post it wherever. The Vancouver Canucks bring on this themselves.
100%. 100%. And that's my point, is like, thank you for being honest about the rebuild thing, but I don't want to hear you say anything, man. Just shut up and go about your business. This is
but I think
enough.
It's good to clarify, because Alvin comes out and says, oh, hybrid rebuild. Like, that
what does that mean?
Exactly.
What does that mean?
So now they're on the same page. It's a rebuild, but is it a 2 to 3 year rebuild? Like, we want to get young, but we need to have veterans because we just don't want to run out young guys all the time. That's a good strategy to have. But again, it's. I heard this today. I think it was, who was it? I think it was Brian Burke or somebody today. I think. Oh no, I was just listening to Sirius XM today with Dave Pagnotta and Steve Cool, all those guys. When Edmonton got Connor McDavid, they tried to keep staying in the playoff, and then they just couldn't do it, and they got Connor McDavid. They fell far enough where they're like, oh, we got Connor McDavid with the luck of the big ping pong balls. The same thing with Vancouver. They try to keep this playoff run going, knowing they weren't a playoff team, and maybe they'll luck into a good player in the draft.
Yeah, that's the hope. There you go, Brady. Hope you're happy. Thank you for joining us as
Sorry,
always.
Brady. Long segment, but it has to be said because the Canucks bring this on themselves, like the Rangers do.
Like the Rangers do, and that's an excellent segue to go back to our tri-state area conversation, except Long Island, we'll talk about them another day. Nothing but good things happening over there right now.
They're the best team in the metro, in the metro area.
100%. So with the Rangers, I mean, I don't really have much to say on this. I think, you and I talked about the Rangers a lot last season, a lot in the off season, and a lot at the beginning of the season. Both you and I frowned upon the Mike Sullivan hiring. Both you and I frowned on the direction that this team was going when we spoke before the season began. Well, here we are. It's done, right? Like, are they going to this just feels like the next logical move is let the season die, move on from Chris Drury, and see what happens. But I mean, Mike Sullivan literally just got hired, which doesn't always matter when it comes to this league. But I just like what we watched on Saturday is, and we've seen it all season long from this team, is not always a 10-2 score, but they just reach moments in hockey games where they just cash it in. It's just, and I just like, you don't want
to bad, like, man. It's just so bad in New York right now.
Like, you don't want to talk about professional athletes like giving up or quitting or nothing like that. But you got to talk about what you see on the ice, man. And it just feels like they have these games where they reach, like that game against Boston, like they were there. It was 2-1. Like the game was there. And it just
goal changed the whole thing. The goal at the end of the period that was called back was that they called on the ice when everybody was in the dressing room. They decided, hey, you know what? Here we go. It's a goal. Now it's like, oh crap, we're just going into the locker room, and here it is. But guess what? This started last year, started the off season before. This is an organizational problem, top to bottom, and it started a long time ago, and it's been an issue because they don't properly rebuild. They just try to hotshot championships, and they have a volatile owner. It's the same guy that owns the Knicks. Look at the Knicks right now. When he leaves the team alone, the team does fine. You let the operational people take over. When you meddle, this is what happens. And it started when you let Jeff Gordon go. And I know it's unpopular opinion. I know a lot of Ranger fans and some people are like, he's not the greatest thing. Well, he's learned some lessons. Yes, some of the drafting and developing wasn't great, but the Rangers can't develop players. Straight up cannot do it. So the drafting might have been wrong. The players might have been wrong, but maybe they would have been good if they could have developed players, and they still can't do it. They took their eye off that part of it. They sent the letter out. This is what we're going to do. They moved all these players. Yes, Panarin signed there. It helped them accelerate things. But again, with false hope, false expectations. I go back to the COVID bubble. I go back to the COVID playoff. If the regular season had played out, the Rangers missed 2020, 2021, and they're set up for success from 2022 and on. Yes, they made a conference final, but they weren't ready to play Tampa, and they blew another series lead there. Then they blew a 2-0 series lead but it's the same thing with all the coaches going back to Gerard Gallant. The talent's there, but they don't want to do certain things. They don't want to commit a certain way. They don't want to play hard. They got embarrassed by New Jersey in games 5 and 7, and that's what it was. The series turned around because Dougie Hamilton won the game in double overtime. If the Rangers win that game in game 3, maybe we're not having this discussion today. And Gerard Gallant is still – maybe they still fire Gerard Gallant because him and Drury didn't get along. And Gordon gets fired and all this stuff. But again, Dolan listened to certain guys outside of the organization that have influence, and here we are. Now, Drury wanted to change his mix to one off season. Okay, fine. But Goudreau, okay. And then the way he went about it. Then the players didn't like the fact that Jacob Trouba got traded, and then Chris Kreider, and then the letter with the open for business. And that's just carried over because you're bringing a 31-year-old with a bad contract in JT Miller, and he's just not the captain. And maybe certain guys can't be captains, like Patrick Elias in New Jersey just was never a good captain, good player, but he just wasn't that guy.
Yeah.
With the Rangers, it's the same thing this year. Drury's still trying to make moves, but it doesn't help when the owner goes on WFAN in New York and says, well, can't count my team out. I still believe in Chris Drury. I mean, you gave the guy a 5-year extension in the offseason when that was the summer to just say, okay, I got to change the general manager.
Yes.
Because he's been here. He's been under the same regime. We got to change some things up. But we're going to go back to plays that I wanted to happen with Mike Sullivan. And the defense is poor. Yes, I know Adam Fox is in the lineup. I know Igor Shesterkin's not in the lineup. But the Rangers weren't a playoff team to begin the season. I don't care how much talent they had. They just weren't skillful enough to make the playoffs. They're not a playoff team. And if you're going to rebuild, you have to do it right. And you have to commit to it. And just because you land a big free agent and things go your way doesn't mean you get off the route of drafting and developing players. Too many teams do that. And we're seeing that right now with the Rangers. And if it's me, I know this for a fact. Panarin and the Rangers have yet to talk about a contract extension. If anything, the Rangers want to do a 3-year deal if they want to do it at all. They're in no rush to do it. But their direction has been chosen for them. Sell at the break, sell at the deadline. Move Panarin, you're getting calls on Trocheck, you can move Lafreniere out, and then figure out what Mika Zibanejad is going to do in the summer. You have UFAs teams want. If Quick can just be a backup somewhere, I know he wants to play for his childhood team. I know he settled down in the area. If you can't move him, fine, that's whatever. They have other players that they can move. Just start over in New York, because that's what's necessary right now. But I'm serious about Panarin. You got to move him. Can't let him walk for nothing. Can't go through what you did with Mitch Marner. Can't go through other situations around the league where guys just walk for nothing. Columbus went through it with Panarin years ago, but they went all in. That's fine. Buffalo's going through that with Alex Tuch right now. Lafreniere, again, I'll mention it, Buffalo. J.J. Peterka was linked to the Rangers last year. Well, Lafreniere was going the other way. You're going to make a hockey trade. That's a name that's out there. Lafreniere doesn't have any trade protection right now. That's a player you can move. You got to move players. And Vincent Trocheck is such a valuable asset with the center market so thin. Teams looking for 2Cs. Say, for instance, again, hasn't been said out loud, but you could suggest it. Teams like Vegas, teams like Minnesota, teams like Montreal, teams like Detroit, LA, looking for center help. LA would be a great fit for Panarin if he was on the open market. They'll try to make a run at him in the offseason. Start connecting the dots and figuring out what these players can go and get value for them, because that's what the Rangers need to do right now.
And that last thing that you said is 100% right. They have to do it right now. They just locked up one of the best goaltenders in the world to a massive, massive deal and a long deal. Right. And the way that this is going right now is they're just going to this isn't even, I was going to make the comparison to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it's not even that.
The Canucks are more the Steelers. The Canucks are more the Steelers than anything. They were just trying to hang on.
Right. But at least the Steelers succeeded in being mediocre, right? They just squeaked in. You got your one playoff game or whatever. The Rangers have to do this, and they have to do this now. I'm going to segue it over. Moving, the topic at hand was going to be who is the team to beat in the East. I pivoted a little bit while you were talking because the Lightning have really separated themselves, and I think
they're the best team in the Eastern Conference.
They're the best team right now in the East, 100%. And I was thinking about this because I am from Toronto. I grew up a Leaf fan. I just started covering the Leafs for the Hockey Writers as well as the Dallas Stars. And I was thinking about this. I said this months ago. Everyone knows what's been happening with the Maple Leafs and how bad the season was. And all of a sudden they lost to Utah in what was a scheduled loss, if there ever was one, beat Colorado at home in overtime. on Monday night in what was one of the best games that I've watched all season. Not even from the Leafs, just overall, like terrific hockey game. But I said this months ago, Toronto will be fine. They will make it to the playoffs. They will figure it out. Does fine mean they're going to win 2 rounds or like win the Stanley Cup? I'm not saying that. All of these teams have been mediocre or worse at some point in the regular season. Like Florida Panthers right now, not so great, right?
No.
The Oilers, they had some tough stretches, and even right now, they're okay. Carolina's been okay. Vegas, okay. All of these teams who are perennially in the playoffs have been okay for stretches, or maybe worse than that, but we give them the benefit of the doubt. We give Carolina the benefit of the doubt. We give Vegas the benefit, Florida the benefit, the Oilers the benefit. But for whatever reason, the Leafs were a team where they're done, they're over, the blah, blah, blah. And for me, it was give them the benefit of the doubt. On the other side of that, and this is where this conversation comes in, who is for real in the East? The Buffalo Sabres, I think the Pittsburgh Penguins, not Florida Panthers, sorry, Philadelphia Flyers, teams like that are conversations where we can have, are they for real? Now, the Buffalo Sabres, they've been playing very well. They had the 10-game winning streak. It's over, but they're winning games still. However, they do this at some point in time every season. And just like we give the benefit of the doubt to the good teams that they will eventually figure it out, I give the Sabres the benefit of the doubt that eventually they will find a way to blow this. And I felt that way about the Detroit Red Wings, although that team seems like they're here at least to stay for this season. Where are you at with these teams? Teams like the Flyers, the Pens, the Sabres. If you could pick one, I think that the Islanders, we could say, are for real. Ottawa is another one of those teams where I said this last season, Ottawa, you made it. Good job. I got to see it one more time from you. You are in the mix every single year, and every single year you find a way to not make it in. Out of these teams kind of that are hanging around that we had either mild to low, what's the word? Expectations for heading into the season. Who is for real in your mind? Because for me, I'm sorry, this isn't based on what we've been watching over the last month and a half, but I'll take any team over the Buffalo Sabres. I just can't buy into it. Where are you at with these teams? Who is for real in the East right now?
Yeah, if you look at the East, obviously I think it's like Carolina, Tampa definitely are for real. I think Montreal is a team I could put in the playoffs. I mean, outside of the defensive effort the other night, but I think them for real. You know, Buffalo again. Like, I love Buffalo. I think it's great for the city of Buffalo. I love what they're doing. I love the fact that they're in every game. However, I want to see them complete it. Like, they got to finish this season out, and they have 100%. To finish it. Like, I'm starting to believe in them because, like I said, it's how you do off of winning streaks. If you win 10, you lose, you win 3, and then you lose 1. And now if Buffalo runs off another 3 or 4 games in a row before their next loss, I'm like, okay, I could start believing a little bit more. But if they lose 4 straight, it's like, all right, well, there goes the work you did with that 10-game winning streak. And now we're back to the talks about Alex Tuch again. And the Buffalo Sabres need to do everything in their power to keep Alex Tuch. I'm sorry. Like, that's what they have to do. They have to keep him. Guy wants to be there. Guy's from the area. Well, he's from Syracuse, but he's from that region, right?
Yeah.
So I think, to me, if I'm a believer in any team, it's Toronto Maple Leafs, right? Like, I think it took time for this team to learn how to adjust to play without Mitch Marner. I know it's a cop-out. I know it's easy. I know, like, people are like, oh, it's just not a Marner thing. It is a Marner thing because they played such a different way with Mitch Marner than they are now. Now, guys, I love how Brad Treliving came out twice. I met the media. It said, no, it's not Craig Berube. I'm not firing Craig Berube. He said it 3 times. He tripled down on him. Said it's on the players to figure out how to play the right way. And Austin Matthews is 100% more healthier than he was to start the season. Whatever lingering injuries he had, he's 100% healthy now. To a point, right? Like, not everybody's 100% healthy, but he looks like the goal scorer again. But the team is buying into playing a certain way, which they have to do for 60 minutes. Now, the other night against Utah, well, they just laid a complete egg. Like, I think it was a back-to-back. You're traveling, like, still no excuse, but they kind of mailed that. They kind of mailed that one in. Like,
yeah,
I'll be honest, that one was a mail-in, which they could have probably taken at least an overtime point to get them like right there.
That game, like, you could tell right from the jump in that game that they had no legs.
I think their win over Colorado was like, that was their game. It was like, all right, we're gonna take this one, and they just didn't. So I think the way Toronto plays, like, I think they'll be okay. I think they're gonna find a way to get in. Maybe take that spot from either Buffalo or Boston, because I'm just not sure on Boston. Like
that, that's another one.
Like Boston, Swayman's playing so good. Korpisalo's starting to play a little bit better. What are they gonna do? Like, I think everybody with Boston thought they would just sell off assets this year, and they're not. And that's what happens when guys come into training camp and ready to be prepared and ready to play. Like, I think that's a team. I'm not sold on Pittsburgh getting in. I think there's a team that we need to really watch, because they're going to start to get healthy. Matthew Tkachuk's going to come back in the lineup. I think the Florida Panthers are a team, to me, I wouldn't count out. I think that's a team for real that could get back into this thing. It's only a couple points out. I think if they can put some wins together, they'll be okay. Look, I love what the story for the Islanders. I'm not sure they're going to be in second all year in the Metro Division, but I think Washington's going to stick around a little bit longer than people think they will. Again, the East is so volatile right now, because a winning streak gets you right into the playoff mix, especially in the Metro. Like, the Devils are at 50 points right now. They rattle off 4, 5, 6 in a row. They're sitting in the top 3 of the division again.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think I can only, like, workhorse teams I absolutely truly believe in. Toronto, Florida. Like, I know Toronto and Florida are just on the outside looking in, but I still think they find a way to get in this thing. Tampa, Carolina, and Montreal, to me. Like, Detroit, I got to see them finish this thing. Like, they've been there every year. They've been just right there, and they just can't get over. I think it's different this year in Detroit, but they got to do it.
Well, that's it. Like, Detroit is the same thing. It's not the same thing as Buffalo, but it's in that vein of...
it's in the same thing. It's in the same realm as Buffalo. 10 years, no playoffs.
Like, it's in the same realm.
You cannot hit double digits in missing playoffs, especially in Hockey Town, because eventually you become an irrelevant team.
Well, and like, my point to where it's not exactly like Buffalo is the last couple of years, especially 2 years ago, you could not get closer to getting in than Detroit.
It was like Calgary. It was like Calgary last year. You were in, but you lost on tiebreakers. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude, I'm like right there with you. I think the Panthers, they're a team. All they need to do is just get in, and they're going to figure it out. Now, you're not going to get Barkov back. That's going to be interesting moving forward.
Maybe not. Maybe there's a chance he could play. There's a chance
we'll
he
see.
could play in first round. Like,
to round out this conversation, finish out the show, thank you to everyone joining us. We appreciate it as always. Thank you to Jim for hanging out with me. It's been a minute, and I always enjoy our conversations. We're going to stick in the Metro, stick in the East. The Columbus Blue Jackets made a change in coach that I don't think a lot of people saw coming. I know I didn't.
Nobody saw it coming.
Was crazy. Now,
I will say this. I did have a conversation with somebody who follows the team pretty closely and told me there could be changes coming, but I don't think anybody saw it that day.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, So this is my question for you, because for me, I think Columbus took the world by storm last year. They had a terrific season. It was a terrific story after what was a heartbreaking summer, last summer before the regular season started. Like we all know
Mm-hmm.
about Johnny Gaudreau and his brother, and what happened after that was just this magical run. It was a beautiful story, and to me, like, yeah, they haven't. I don't know, Jim. Like, to me, they've been Columbus. Like, they haven't been awful. They've been scoring goals. They've been getting scored on. Like, there's nothing to me that screamed this is out of the ordinary. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think Dean Evanson's a good coach. I think he's a coach that should have been rewarded some more time. My question to you is, there's a comparison in my mind, and like, just hear me out here, because it's not a one for one comparison. It's not a perfect comparison, but there is some sort of a comparison to um the Jim Montgomery situation last year,
Mm-hmm.
where you had a coach in St. Louis that you liked, but and you just signed the extension, but a coach became available that you loved, and you went out and you got him. And we saw what happened with the Blues last year. Now, this season with the Blues is a completely different situation, but that conversation's for another day. Now, Rick Bowness is a terrific, like, coach. I'm not in too many, circles in the NHL, but by all accounts, he's beloved by everybody. He is like highly respected by everybody. He's also 74 years old, if memory
Mm-hmm.
serves correct. This does not feel like a long-term move where Jim Montgomery, as long as he performs well and as long as he wants to be there, he's going to be the coach for the St. Louis Blues. Where this deal, Rick Bowness is he going to be here for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years? I would think probably not. Where are you at with this move? I like Rick Bowness. I'm happy to see him behind a bench again, but was what are we trying to accomplish here?
I mean, look, they're trying to figure out what they have on this roster, and I think that's what Rick Bowness was brought in for. I also think there was some influence from talking with some people in Columbus. I think there was some influence by players to make a change.
Mm,
But I think management wants to see what they have. I think Rick's coming in here and to tell Don, like, what, like, this is who we need to keep. This is who you need to build around, because it's just a contract for the rest of the year, and then he's going to be reevaluated. Like,
yeah.
if if you were really going to make a coaching change, I know you need that, but how many hard coaches have come in through Columbus? And if these players don't like hard coaches, this is a problem. Rick Bowness is a hard coach too. Like, I understand what the situation with Babcock, and that's just stupid. But like, Torts was hard, Dean's hard, like Pascal Vincent's was hard. Like, at some point, these players have to just own it themselves, and like, we got to play this way. Like, they had a lot of momentum last year, and the emotional uplift, like you said. But this team this year should be a lot better than it is. There's too much talent on this team not to be in a playoff position and
Yeah.
be where they should be. And the players last year determined their fate, and what Don Waddell did. There's gonna be teams calling. They're already calling about Boone Jenner and Charlie Coyle and guys like that, especially if they don't get in this thing. Yeah, they get the new coach bump, but they're really looking at this roster to see what they have top to bottom.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think what bothers me, and this is an age-old conversation when it comes to this league, is if you look at the last four coaches, and this includes uh Mike Babcock, who you mentioned, who didn't coach one game. Um, it averages out to about 93 games per coach. That's the average. And like, how are you supposed to get any consistency from this roster when you're when you're flipping coaches on average every 93 games? Like that's barely a season. And so I understand what you're saying. I understand that they are not performing to what they should be. I also know, listen, Rick Bowness is a very good head coach and he will do a good job with what he has. But when you're letting a guy go on average every 93 games, you're just not going to develop. And I know that's not all Don Waddell. I know he is somewhat new to this job. But you're just not going to get any consistency from a roster when you operate like that.
Yeah, exactly. You can't do that. And look, they've made some trades. The Marshman trade really helped them and boost them a little bit. And I think they struggled a little bit when he got hurt. But Columbus, they got to look and see what their roster is. Kent Johnson has to take a next step. Adam Fantilli's had a bad year. Like you gotta start getting something out of this roster. They made moves in the offseason expecting to be in the playoff mix, bringing that grit, that size with the Miles Wood, with the Charlie Coyle, the injuries and everything. Jet Greaves is number one in this league. I said it last year. If Columbus played Jet Greaves more last year, they make the playoffs, and they did, and they knocked the Devils out of the playoffs. And look, they couldn't hold third period leads under Dean, and obviously it cost him his job. He had just gotten there, so look. Hey, Don Waddell's smarter than me and knows a little bit more about hockey than me, but I think the players have to own some of this responsibility themselves in that room. But again, you could play devil's advocate with that too and say, how many times we're going to hear, oh, well, we let a good coach leave. Well, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have if you played the right way and you did your job and you just did the little things and the little details. And look, it's not a knock on New Jersey either. And I want to bring it back there for a minute. You go back to, and you played the game. You've been around the game. I've been around the game, played the game, played for some hard coaches, played for guys that turned me into a good two-way hockey player, making me play defense, learning under different things. Cardinal rule of the sport since the dawn of time, what you're told. Do not go in front of your own net with the puck when you're breaking out or you have pressure. I hate barking on this, and I know, some people are going to get upset. Luke Hughes needed to take a seat after that game against Carolina. I'm sorry. He needed to be benched for the rest of the game, and he needed to take a seat. Like, you cannot do this. Any other coach in the National Hockey League puts him on the bench for the rest of the game. Like, he's not seeing the ice. You could say, go to the dressing room, you're done. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I get it. Oh, you got to play out of position, and you could play through it and play. He coughs up the puck. The puck goes in the net. And it really cost the Devils the game against Carolina.
Yeah.
That, unfortunately, it has to be a message that's sent. You talk about accountability in New Jersey. Talk about accountability across the league. If players know there's no consequence for bad play, same mistakes are going to happen. And I think that's why Rick Bowness was brought in Columbus as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Jim, thank you for hanging out with me, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody for watching. Remind everyone this show is brought to you by First Round Collectibles. I know you are a wrestling guy, Jim. Is that correct? 100%.
I am a wrestling guy. That is
you
correct.
are a wrestling guy. And right now, First Round Collectibles has a sale on wrestling cards specifically, including a 1995 Stone Cold Steve Austin. And there's 25% off on selected wrestling cards at firstroundcollectibles.com. With our promo code SPORTS10, you get 10% off whatever card you want in the whole store. And that includes an additional 10% on the 25% sale they have on wrestling cards. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today. Promo code SPORTS10 for an additional 10% on any card in the store. And Total Apex Sports and Total Apex Media. Jim, what do you got coming down the pipe? Full press hockey. You're a frequent guest on radio stations all over North America.
And
what
Canada.
do you got?
And Canada. Let's throw that in.
That's right. Well, that's North America.
Yeah, but
US for now. We'll see what happens.
US and Canada. I love my people on there. Just if you guys find it, YouTube, Rob Peterson's show was on there today. TSN 690 on Monday. Check out Full Price Hockey on YouTube. Just dropped some things this week. NHL rumors as well on YouTube. Dropping an article tomorrow about how the Rangers should be open for business. There's articles up on my Substack about ownership problems with the Rangers, Canucks being open for business, Devils information, a lot of rumors around the league, and just diving into the work as well, and just a lot of busy things as we head into this roster freeze and then we get ready for the Olympics as well. So traveling down a stadium series at the end of the month, came back from Winter Classic, absolutely great time. And then obviously everybody knows besides hockey, I'm a football guy, know my college football, know my NFL, got sources in between both, have my eyes glued to that national championship game on Monday. So I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jim, as always, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. We will see you next time. And for everybody, Joe and I will be back next Wednesday to break down the divisional round, get ready for the conference championships in the NFL. And there will be a hockey show next week. Guest coming up. I'll let you guys know. Have a great week. We'll see you then.